working experience for you. I'll take a look at all the videos, and I'll take the last one, if there's someone on there more than once, and take the last one as their final, and then I'll get those back to you by Wednesday before our awards luncheon. So thank you for your hard work there. And to get back on track so we have our lunch on time, because I know I skipped breakfast this morning to get here on time, so I'm getting quite hungry myself. So, but before I do that, maybe I could get one or two persons that would like to share their experience with this on what they thought, on how easy or how hard it was. Do I have a volunteer? TR?
Thank you, Bruce. I thought that was pretty hard, and also listening to Bruce telling us that this is very important, that didn't help any bit. So I feel for a 2-minute summary, I think I personally need a little bit more time than the allocated time, but it was a very good exercise. It makes you think of what to say on your real video. Thank you.
Thank you. We are journalists, have our own structures of news. It's an inverted pyramid. Is I can see this a bit similar, although most of the inverted pyramid we don't have ending, but here we have ending.
Yes, the ending or call to action, as I say, is quite important, because if you explain a project and your passion for it, but if you don't ask for something, or at the end they don't really know why you're having the conversation. So you really need that call to action to close it, to say, I've got this project and here's what I need. Can you help? So.
This is working.
Okay.
I just had a little comment. When one makes videos like this, it's a good idea to use on YouTube there is a facility, even if you're not uploading it for public viewing, but you can just upload it and caption it. It will automatically do captioning for you for the videos, which is fairly accurate, and you can edit it and improve it. But we really should do that, because then it makes it accessible to deaf people as well.
Great, thank you. Any more comments? Well, then, as I said, I think this is a good exercise, because a lot of us don't realize it's hard to get our story down in 90 seconds or less. And it takes a lot of practice to get that, to do that, and to get your message across effectively, but also to show that you have passion for your subject, and that you end with that call of action. And it seems like a simple task to do it, but it actually is quite hard and takes a lot of practice. So that was the whole purpose of this exercise, is so you experience that firsthand for those that hadn't done that. So let's say you've given your elevator speech, you've been out on the floor and you've talked to someone. Well, what comes next? What comes next is a lot of times is what I call a one-pager. It's a simple tool that provides a summary of your project, and it allows you to describe that project in one page that makes it easy for someone to read. And a lot of people say, well, I need a lot more detail to incite someone. And I'll say, well, that's not actually true. Some of the largest funding that I've ever received came as a result of a one-pager like this. And a good example was, 2.5 years ago, a simple one-pager like this we sent to the Google Foundation, and they ended up writing a $2 million check. And so, so it's interesting that you don't need a big in-depth report all the time or proposal to get your largest amount of funding. But what's critical in my experience in these one-pagers are there's 6 key parts. And what I'd like to do is walk through each part, and I'm picking on TR's project in Micronesia, and how this one-pager is assembled, and I'll be happy to share the template with everyone, is on the left-hand side goes over the overview of the project, so essentially in one paragraph, what is the project about and its goal, similar to what you've just used in your elevator pitch. The second part of that is the partnership, who's working on this project, and in this case it's a collaboration between TR's organization, iSolutions, and Illinois Institute of Technology, and joining together to work with some local organizations, the Telecom, the Peace Corps, and the Department of Education. So now here's all the players involved in the project and what their roles are. The next part is what is the innovation or what's unique about this project that is occurring. And in this case, it's using solar power to power both the ICT and the internet access to schools on rural islands. And so the technology here, the innovation, is the combination of renewable energy and ICT. And then we get to the heart of what the project is about, that this one page is looking for funding, and it's teacher training and local capacity building. And it's really, within this paragraph, really explaining the heart of the project and what is needed and what is going to be achieved with that training. The one part that I find in a lot of these documents that I review that ends up being missing is the fifth part, which is the impact. Who is going to be helped, how are they going to be helped, and how many people? For example, here it's going to be 3 school pilots that result in 20 teachers being trained, which then those 20 teachers affect 240 students that that affect 5,000 community members. And so here's the real impact of what this teacher training program will have once it's been implemented. And then the closing is, what are you looking for? What funding is needed, or what is needed to carry on? So I think what's critical as you go back and look at your projects, as you meet all these people here and you give your elevator talk to them on what your project's about and what you need, and then a good follow-up item is this one pager with these 6 key parts that allow you to put that in front of them again to give them a little bit more detail, but not too much, or you try not to overwhelm them with too much information, so that if you send them a 20-page PDF, they'll probably never read it. Or if you send them a 1-page PDF, most likely they'll read it and have a good overview of what your project is about. And what I find interesting is a lot of times they'll actually pass it on to other organizations because it's a PDF and it's easy to send around, they'll actually, if they don't have an interest, they may pass it to another organization that does. The other thing you should start thinking about is a 2-minute video of what your project is about. Not the elevator pitch that we did earlier, but an actual 2-minute video using that rule of the internet. Well, if it's 2 minutes or less, somebody will watch it. And there's a lot of different approaches that you can take with a 2-minute video to explain your project. And with a little creativity, you can actually do some amazing results. The 2-minute video is a project I actually worked on in Haiti at a school where they had 400 laptops donated and no way to power them. And this is where I teamed with a group of engineers out of the US. They engineered a cellular solution to install at the school to power those laptops and get them connected to the internet. And they wanted to get their next round of funding, and this is the video they produced, and they actually produced it off of one of these flip cameras and used software that's open source software for video editing on their laptop. And so this is the result of what some university students produced about what the project is all about. audio in this at all. And what they're trying to show is that through the sun coming down to the solar panels, through all the wiring, the laptop gets charged, and of course then the student can take the laptop to their classroom and actually use it. And so it was a simple 2-minute video that gave that message that successfully helped get the funding for the next round of this project, which was getting the solar-powered internet connection so they could get the laptops connected to the internet also. So this is a good example, and once again it was done on these simple little cameras and all done by amateurs, and it's amazing the results that you can get with a little bit of creativity and thought. And so, the project team used this with a one-pager, and as they went out, the university students gave their elevator pitch. They followed up with a link to the video with the one-pager, and successfully were able to get funding to continue on with the project. So this is just a good example of that. Now, I'd like to show you an example that kind of breaks these rules. And I'm going to pick on one of my, once again, TR and one of my colleagues, where it's, they went more than 2 minutes, and you can see you kind of lose the, where the project is after the 2-minute mark. So I'll share that with you. But this is a different approach on explaining what a project is and what the results are. Oops.
Hello, welcome. I'm Laura Hosman, Assistant Professor of Political Science at Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. Today, we're in Wada Chuk at the Chuk Women's Council in the Federated States of Micronesia, and we're about to set up a computer lab in the Chuk Women's Council. Before we do that, we're going to interview people who work here and find out what they're looking for in terms of having a computer lab in the Chuk Women's Council, to see their opinions on technology use for the Chuk Women's Council, but also for the community. The Chuk Women's Council offers an abundance of programs for women here in Chuk. And our hope is that we can take advantage of technology in the form of a computer lab to help empower the women here in Chuk. So let's get to our interviews with the Chuk Women's Council staff. I would love to know what you as the CWC staff would like to use the computer lab for.
The K1 skills and knowledge, okay? And also help our community. Using laptops and computers improve my work, okay? Especially all my projects.
Is there a demand among the women in this community to learn how to use computers?
I think because most of our members are all scattered on the island, and most of our projects, they usually do the reporting and, go out to the communities and do awareness, and we require them to do reporting. Okay. So this will be really good for them so they can learn, and it will improve on, their reporting instead of just using that and things or writing.
Since the women go out to the islands and can therefore spread the word, do you foresee that any women's groups that are located on islands might want to come here and have courses? Okay, great.
So I'm going to stop it right there. Is the 2-minute mark. And I think maybe some of you are think, it's getting a little bit harder after this point to follow. While this is a good project video on what the project is about, it would be the wrong video to use for send to a funder. While it's a good video to send to someone that's already funded to see what was the money spent on and how was the project going, this would be a good example of what I wouldn't use to go to get funded. Because it's a little bit long, it's not, it doesn't get to the point of what's trying to be achieved, what are the results, who's benefiting. It gets a little bit in-depth for what a funder has paid for, not to go and attract new funding. Oops, I lost my start button.
Great. I can just imagine if we do.
Laptops, and on these laptops we have loaded Windows 7 operating system, the internet browser, Office suite of software, communication software in the form of Skype so that calls can be made to loved ones who are far away, a rapid typing program, PDF viewer, multimedia video player, Micronesia seminar videos. That's an organization that's locally based that makes we have about 70 videos loaded that this organization has made that are covering local issues relevant to Micronesia and Chuuk more specifically. And then the Goodwill Community Foundation has also made a database of useful life skills. So those range actually from how to use the internet and email to how to read a receipt and make a shopping list. We're excited to get started, and in a few minutes we'll be giving our first preliminary training. So could I ask first, just a show of hands, how many of you already have an email address? So 3 of you do and 2 of you don't. So the 2 of you who don't will soon discover that in order to open up a Facebook account and in order to use Skype, you'll actually need an email address because it requires those things. So then just double click on the Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to pause it there. So you get the idea a little bit. For a funder, that's a little bit too long, gets into too much detail. Do they really care that there's a PDF reader on a laptop? So you can kind of think, but for a funder, that's okay. What did they actually do? What did they actually supply to in that environment? Because if we need to duplicate it, what have they actually done? It gives a good overview of, what kind of computer was used, what was the software used, how are the people trained, what background of training took place. So all those things are, good for someone that wants to reproduce the project, but not necessarily for a potential future fund. So, what do we want to do this week? Well, as I said, a couple key things you want to keep in mind. Start working on your elevator pitch and getting that to 90 seconds or less. You practice that with the video. What kind of follow-up are you going to do after we leave the conference? Do you have a one-pager that you can send out that talks about what your project is, what the next steps are, and what you need funding for? And third, have you put a video together about what your project is, and keep in mind that 2-minute mark are you able in 2 minutes to convey what your project's about, who it's benefiting, and what you need as a next step. And try to think of those things, because those are good follow-up tools to use when you go out for future funders. What you'll find here at the conference this week is an interesting mix of people from government, from industry, from foundations, and from industry groups or industry associations. And you'll run into all 4 of these types at the conference this week. And, you need to have in mind, when you're talking to someone, who are you talking to? Like, if we look at the attendee list, Google is here. Well, the question, are they google.com or are they google.org? Because the google.com folks are interested in one aspect, and I'll share with you. They're interested in how do we get more people connected to the internet, and how is your project going to get the most people connected? Where google.org is looking at, well, how is this helping more women in ICT? How is this helping the disadvantaged? How is this helping build out more connectivity that in places where it isn't economical for a commercial entity to do that? So you need to know, as you're talking to people, not just what company they're from, but what part of those organizations are they coming from. And so that makes a big difference. And as well as the industry foundation groups that are here, that are representing a group of industries, like an association. And what are their key points that they have an interest in? I mean, just like when you looked at your grants for the Seed Alliance group, there's some, things that were key areas that they have an interest in. Well, whether it's an industry group or a foundation, they have their key points that they're trying to fund and that they're trying to achieve, whether it's in the developmental space or the commercial space, and you need to keep your ears tuned on them. There's a comment made earlier that sometimes you need to whisper in the right person's ear, and there's a story that, Sylvia, you wanted to share on that?
Just on not underestimate what happened when you're seated next to someone you don't know. A couple of years ago at the IGF in Nairobi, one of the ISIF award winners from Niue Island in the Pacific, which is a very, very isolated, small, tiny island in the Pacific that is paying for their connectivity to the internet using the money that they receive for selling the domain .nu in Sweden. Nu means new, so their country name has a meaning in another language, and they were able to make a lot of money out of that, and with that they are covering all the island and providing wireless access and all that sort of stuff. And Imani his organization won the ISIF award for that work, and he's a very nice Islander, very warm and friendly with people, and he was seated next to someone at the gala dinner of the IGF, which is this year is on Thursday, is on your calendars for the social events. And this nice guy from Sweden was asking him, what do you do, and what's your project about? And he was super happy, saying, oh no, we won this award and we got this trophy and it's awesome, and ISIF has helped us to do this and do that, and we are doing this and we are doing that, and look, this is the booklet of the ISIF program, and da da da. Few weeks passed, and out of the woodwork, the Swedish government called us start days in between the IGF and the call to us. They called IDRC and they called ISOC and they called everybody they know to start asking what is APNIC, who is this ESIF program, what's going on, are they good, are they bad, are they stealing money, what are they doing? And they start asking around, they call us, and it landed us a $1.5 billion grant that is the grant that is supporting ESIF Fire in Frida to continue. And it all started with an informal conversation in a dinner with one of you guys, with one of the winners. It wasn't Lara, it wasn't Patricia, it wasn't me, it wasn't our directors, it wasn't no one wearing a tie, very formal of selling anyone anything. It was someone benefiting from the program that opened the door for us. So that's for me that's great when we actually put the face to who was the person that Jens was talking to. It was very funny to make the actual connection. But I guess it's just one anecdote about what can happen when you just pay attention to what the people you are meeting this week and what can happen afterwards.
Did you have a comment also you wanted to share? Yes. Your mic.
Yes. Okay. I'd just like to tell you some of my own experience linking together. Do something that you can demonstrate before you ask for money. The benefit of whispering. And people want to be connected with success. I'll tell you how I learned those 3 lessons. About 30 years ago, I was the CEO of the Cerebral Palsy Association in my state in Australia. We had no money. I also have an IT background, and there were a lot of people there who were very bright, and I thought they may be disabled, but they can use IT. IT will assist them do what they want, but we had no money. So I went to my board and I said, in my spare time I'm quite happy to teach people about computing, but we've got no equipment. And they said, but we've got no money. And I said to them, and it's interesting, I used the word seed. I said to them, but we need some seed money. You guys put your hands in your pocket and put some money on the table. So they were a bit taken aback, but they did. So we started, and this was before Apple. We started with a couple of old Exody sorcerers. So that was going very well, and I thought, no, that's good. I knew some people in Rotary, and I went to them and said, can I talk to one of your dinner meetings about what I'm doing? And I want some money. And I took along with me a lady who was in a wheelchair, post-speech, typed with a head probe. And she gave a demonstration to the dinner meeting. And they asked us, the president asked me, would you go outside for a moment and we will discuss this? So I went outside and I was crossing my fingers, hoping that I would get some money. And they invited us back in, and I wanted $3,000, which was a lot of money, which was about something like 2.5 times what I was being paid an annual salary. And the president said, this is what we're about in Rotary, we'll buy you 3. Now, if we hadn't been able to demonstrate, we wouldn't have got anything. So I happened a year or so after that to be talking to the local director of the Department of Social Security. And I said to him, Brian, your minister is always looking for publicity. How about you blow in her ear, whisper, and tell her about what we are doing and give us some more money? And she came to look at what we were doing, and it almost became embarrassing. Every time she came to Brisbane for about the next 2 or 3 years, she would want to come and see what we were doing. And this guy, Brian, the local director, was told by the minister, if we have any money left over at the end of May in other states, get them to give it to John because he's doing something useful with it. So there you have 3 lessons in one.
Thank you. Pardon? Yes. The challenging part is, in the whole social media, internet world, you still, a lot of cases, rely on people you meet at events like this, the personal networking. And the key is now, once you get that personal networking done, now how do you tie that into the social media to continue that relationship, to continue your thought of ideas and what your project is doing. Just like one of the things I'm going to challenge everyone here, you're going to be collecting a lot of business cards this week from people you talk to. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to go back and go in LinkedIn and tie to that person and get in LinkedIn and start posting updates on your project to LinkedIn from a business standpoint? Are you going to invite them to join your Facebook page group? What are your next steps that you're going to do with that business card once you get it? And then how are you going to follow up with a 1-pager or a 2-minute video? These are all important things from the social media standpoint to continue that relationship and that building. And sometimes these things take a long time. And I'll tell you, my personal story with T.R. Mori, and we met how many years ago in Hawaii? 8 years ago? At a chance meeting. Went to visit this organization, and he was interning there, and he said, we need more renewable energy and internet access in Chuuk, Micronesia. And I had no idea where Chuuk, Micronesia was. But it always stuck in the back of my mind that he had a need, and it was an area of my expertise. Well, I didn't have funding to do what he wanted, but 8 years later, actually, this was about 2 years ago. I was at another conference in Hawaii, and I ran across a gentleman named Andy Warner from Google. And he's like, well, I work out of Singapore. I don't know if we have any funding for what you want to do. And he goes, well, but on the way here, I kind of ended up on an island hopper and got stuck a day in this place called Chuuk. I kind of liked it there. I may have $50,000 or so just if you've got a project idea for Chuuk. And so immediately my mind, went, hey, I know a guy in Chuuk. Let's find out if he still has a need. And that's how, that project got started. It was 8 years in the making, but, something finally did happen because, someone that, that actually had some potential funding had an interest in that area, and finally we were able to pull the two together. So, that was through, personal networking that those things happen. But now when I look at the new funding that's coming for this project, it's all because of the videos and the 1-pager and all the things out in the whole social media side of it that, people are now coming and saying, we'd like to help support that project. So it's really, it's an interesting balance between the personal networking of people you're going to meet here and then how you bring them into your social media side to keep them interested. And while they may not provide funding this year or next year, they may at some point down the road introduce you to someone or get to a point they can fund your project or the project that you're working on. So, really what's key next is once you get that business card, what are you going to do with it when you go home? You're going to get your chance here to do your elevator pitch to a lot of different people, from industry associations, from industry, from government, from organizations like Sylvia's, and the Seed Alliance. But the action item is for you now, and getting the word out with your project and getting the support that you need to take from the funding that you have received to grow it into something larger and benefit the people that you're trying to benefit. Yes. So Sylvia, final comments?
Lara and Patricia, can you come? Lara and Patricia, can you come to say goodbye and start with lunches and stuff? So if you can come here for a sec. First I would like to thank you all for your time today and to come. I will pass the microphone just in case you want to say something to say goodbye to everybody. There is lunch at the back served for all of us to enjoy. Sorry, it's in an enclosed room, but I hope you like it. And just to emphasize or say again the same things I said at the beginning, that this week is for you to make your plan and make the best use of this time and this experience and all the resources that have been put behind you to have you here. So make the best out of it. Keep us posted on what you need. And one thing is, when you're approaching all this bunch of strangers and you feel like you're having your hat on, taking the hat off, passing the hat around to ask for some money, don't be embarrassed. Just, don't be embarrassed. It's not a favor they are doing to you when they support you. I learned that with the very good way, working with IDRC when they don't consider us our recipients, they consider us their partners. And I keep pushing for the same respect and level of relationship with all the other donors we work, so you're not doing them any favors. They use your experiences and your good work to get the Canadian government to support them as well. So it's like a long queue of things, and it happens with everybody. Everybody is accountable to someone else. So even if you're asking a Google guy for money to support something, they also have someone to report to. So you're not giving them any favors if you're doing a good job. You're making a favor for yourself to do the best for your community, and they're making a good job supporting you all the way. So it's like a friendship chain that you can always rely on. So don't be embarrassed. Make the best use of it, and don't underestimate the power of being all here together. So we're looking forward to see you at the awards ceremony and then at the reception to relax a little bit and celebrate what you have achieved and all the hard work and all the commitment in this room to bring the internet and the benefits of internet access to many people in the world. So thank you very much. And I just
sorry, I just want to say one last word. I've been in sort of the grant giving business for, I suppose almost 15 years now. Don't underestimate your sense of integrity and your sense of passion. That's the first impression that, at least for me, that's the instinct that I go to. We're all animals, we're all creatures. We could almost smell integrity. We could almost smell passion and sincerity. That's the first impression. That's all I have to say. I mean, if you stick to your integrity, you stick to your passion, it comes off very, very easy. It's really easy to read. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time. I hope you enjoyed the workshop. And let's give a round of applause to our hosts here. And lunch is served.